the Madman!
Welcome to the first day of the calendar card reveals. This card reveal season is actually going to go pretty differently because all of the cards are going to get revealed instead of quite a lot of them getting revealed right at the end in the card dump. This package appeared to be the runeless Death Knight cards. There's bound to be some of the weaker cards because, you didn't specialize into a class, so you shouldn't have anything. But at the same time, there's going to be some base level Death Knight tools that are generally good. And I think we got about that mixed bag here as we start with Body Bagger! 1 mana, 1/3 Undead Battlecry, gain a corpse. Oh, I slay myself. Not only is it the 1 mana 1/3 undead that a lot of decks would have been looking for, but this is also immediately providing a corpse for the corpse lovers out there. I can already see one of the most insane starts being the Body Bagger into Battlefield Necromancer start. And that's 4/8 worth of stats at the end of turn 2, with the strong potential to continue raising more 1/2s. Even in some of the more control-oriented Death Knights, though, you may still want this 1/3 just because it's 2 corpses early game. I had been thinking how I'm going to get my 3 corpses in a control blood deck, for example. Well, that 1-drop is 2 of those corpses right there. Very good all-arounder. And hey, let's follow that generally good Death Knight card with another generally good Death Knight card. Chill Fallen Baron, a 3 mana 2/2 undead. Battlecry and Death Rattle draw a card. That's Arcane Intellect, with the downside that some of the Arcane Intellect is slow, requires Death Rattle, with the upside that it comes with a free 2/2. If you play this on turn 3, it's far less bad than Arcane Intellect. And it is better than Arcane Intellect in nearly all the situations other than you're top decking or you're looking for a really specific card really fast. And, of course, since you're a Death Knight, not only is it Arcane Intellect, not only is it a 2/2, not only is it undead, it's also eventually a corpse. Indeed, after you play Chill Fallen Baron, I believe you will be Bing chilling. Now hey, all these Death Knight cards and all these corpses, well, you need a way to spend those corpses, right? Well, Corpse Bride is a way that you can dump off your corpses really fast. 5 mana 4/4 undead Battlecry, spend up to 8 corpses. Summon a Risen Groom with stats equal to the amount spent. Note, it's not like you get a slider on, I'm going to spend 5 corpses. You spend all of them up to the 8. So I think the card to compare this card with is Silverhand Knight, which is a 5 mana 4/4, which summons a 2/2. So that's like the baseline garbage card that you compare this to. And off of comparing Silverhand Knight, I think it's very easy to see that even if you were to spend 4 corpses, that wouldn't be good, because 5 mana summon 2 4/4s, but also spend 4 corpses just seems like a really bad deal. So where you really want to have Corpse Bride work is you would want 8 corpses to be generated very fast, and then you play this, and then you actually slam down this 12/12 on turn 5. That's how I could see it hypothetically seeing play if it were to see you play. And then sometimes you have, 4 corpses in there and you play it for the tempo, but that should be a rare situation. Given that you need to, build up that many corpses and not have any other corpse spenders, I just don't really see Corpse Bride being very realistic. It seems like I couldn't find any better way to spend these corpses, so I'm going to dump them into this bride. But surely you can find a better use for corpses than this. The main problem is, even at 4 corpses, it's, barely break even on, a okay card. You would just, get 2 4/4s for 5, which is meh. So you really need to get more than that to actually have value on a vanilla card. So again, it would be a drawback to spend 4 corpses because you could probably already get 2 4/4s for 5 mana. So it's only after you spend 5 corpses that you get +1/+1 on that, which is insane. That's the way I would see it. I basically came to the conclusion there's better ways to spend your corpses. Such as here, we got Malignant Horror. 4 mana, 2/4 undead with Reborn. At the end of your turn, spend 5 corpses to summon a copy of this minion. So I think the card to compare this one with would be Serenite Chain Gang, which by default is 4 mana for 2/2/3s. Now the thing about the Malignant Horror is that you get a refund of 4 corpses eventually, because the Horror and the Reborn and the other Horror and the Reborn will get you 4 corpses by default. Yes, there's a prerequisite that you need to get 5 corpses, which could be very, very hard if you wanted to like actually tempo this out on turn 4, which you probably would want to because this card is a card that's slow to get going. But if you do manage to cast this on turn 4, I can see this being quite good. You'll get 4 mana 2/2/4s with Reborn, which can definitely help control the board pretty fast. There's also the alternative use that I think Death Knights will not get very many buff cards, but there are a few, and we're going to see one coming right up. But if you do buff the Horror, then you're getting copies of this card, which means you get some pretty big copies. And the other Malignant Horror is going to summon copies as well on the following end of turn, which means if somehow your Malignant Horror splits into another, and then if you have 10 more corpses, then your Malignant Horrors will split into 2 more Malignant Horrors for 4 Malignant Horrors. Value? I should note that this card does come with a pretty scary downside, which is if you do actually have a ton of corpses and you play the Malignant Horror and you're up against the control deck and your opponent clears off your 2 Malignant Horrors and leaves you with 2/2/1s, then you're going to spend 10 corpses, assuming that they have nothing to trade into. So that's a really specific situation. But if you have 2/2/1s, then they're going to eat your 10 corpses and then summon copies of these minions, which are 2/1s. So you're going to have 2 more 2/1s, which you spend 10 corpses on. So that's not pretty and could be a reason why this card is ultimately like not run. But hey, look! It's the card that you could buff those Malignant Horrors with, or you can buff generally a big swarm of undead minions. With this Unholy, 1 rune requirement, 3 mana, Anti-Magic Shell, a shadow spell. Give your minions +1/+1 and can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. This is a card, just like Obliterate from Knights of the Frozen Throne originally. Unlike Obliterate, this card was found to be a little too strong at 4 mana and give your minions +2/+2, so it had to get toned down to 3 mana, give your minions +1/+1 and can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. That's a lot of mana for just a +1/+1 generic buff. Also, it's been confirmed that the following cards did not match the Death Knight identity or what they were going for. That would be Death Coil, Death and Decay, Death Grip, and Doom Pact. But you know what we are going to see? FROSTMOURNE. Yeah, the legendary 7 mana 5/3 weapon. It's gotten ported exactly from what it was. No changes. Death Rattle. Summon every minion killed by this weapon. Wow. So this is like one of the ultimate value finishers. I salivate on thinking of the sheer amount of value provided by FROSTMOURNE. Now, potential problem being, we're currently not really in a meta where value by itself wins ever, but I think this card makes the most sense in a heavy blood Death Knight deck. Obviously one that, I'll be experimenting with. The ones where you gain a lot of health, you raise your maximum health, and you're going for a long control game. And hey, if you really like FROSTMOURNE that much, or if you like other Death Knight weapons, which we don't know yet, but we're probably going to see them soon. You got Rune Forging, 1 mana shadow spell. Draw a weapon, spend a corpse to reduce its cost by 1. That's actually quite good. If Death Knights get a good weapon, then you'll definitely see Rune Forging. They're certainly going to get at least 1 more weapon other than FROSTMOURNE. I'd bet on it. The better the weapon is, the more likely you're going to see 1 or 2 Rune Forgings to fetch that weapon. And when that weapon comes out, you're going to have to consider the idea that that weapon could be cheated out 1 turn early because Rune Forging's discount. Yeah, that was a bit of a reveal of the basics of the Death Knights. A lot of cards that all Death Knights are going to want to consider. You don't need ruins. It'll work in any of your builds. It's runeless.